Hello YouTube. I just want to make a quick follow-up video to a prediction video I made about a week and a half ago. A week and a half ago on this channel, I told you the inevitable was going to happen. And the inevitable did happen. After watching last night, I saw one of the greatest performances of boxing in general. It makes me sort of emotional. I'll get to breaking it down in a second. It makes me emotional in a good way. I started watching boxing with my dad 10 years ago. And that fight that made me a fan of this shit and a fight that made me follow the sport was Crawford versus Gamboa. One of the greatest fights you can physically fucking see. And yesterday, 10 years later, Bud Crawford did exactly as I predicted. He knocked Earl Spence out. I think that's something granted to say. Now, everybody who's surprised, I have to reiterate, what did you expect? Spence is a one-dimensional fighter who has a great jab and a great engine, but does nothing else. Yesterday, Bud Crawford showed y'all that he is levels above. Spence tried in the first round to use his jab and work the body, which it worked. I gave him round one. But anybody who knew anything about Bud Crawford also knows that he's a slow starter. But I thought he was going to start slower than he did last night. I said in my post prediction video that Spence was going to probably win rounds 1 through 3. Don't surprise he wins 4. Verbatim, that's what I said. Yesterday, he started round 1 and he won with a jab. I thought that was going to be the look of the fight for the next 3 rounds. Round 2 comes along. It's kind of looking the same like round 1. Spence coming in with the jab. Spence kind of pushes Crawford around. Am I getting worried? No. But near the end of the round, Spence tries to fight Crawford, and Crawford catches him off balance drops him. First drop of the entire career of Earl Spence Jr. That did surprise me. I didn't think Crawford was going to get him that early and that quickly. Round 3 comes in. It's more of the same. Bud just starts to put this total domination. Spence sets everything up with his jab, and Bud was so magnificent in how he countered that jab. Over the top, in the body, even when Spence wanted to be in there and tussle and wrestle. What did Bud do? He fought back. For all the shit people gave him for not being a good inside fighter, I don't know if you guys saw, but on the inside, anytime Spence tried to fight, Bud was landing on that body. Bud was landing on the head. Anytime Spence tried to do his stupid little body shots, counter uppercut, counter body shot, counter hook. Started adding up. Round 3, 4, 5, more of the same. At one point, you could tell that Spence's eye socket wasn't fucking okay. Y'all remember in my prediction video when I said Spence's orbital or retina injury is going to come to play? It wasn't just because of the ass beating he was getting that his eye was damn near closed. His eye hasn't been okay since the car crash. His eye hasn't been okay pre-Pacquiao fight. Dude was damaged goods and y'all tried to suck his dick. I ain't gonna hold back. Round 7 comes along. After round 5 and 6 look more of the same. He's still getting his ass beat. Round 7 comes along and there's another counter hook off the ropes that Bud gives him. And he drops him for the second time in his career. Granted, it wasn't that brutal. I didn't think it was that brutal. I thought Spence was okay enough to go. But near the closing seconds of round number 7, that was fucking brutal. Bud comes in on a combination. I think it's a 3-piece. He hits him with a hook, another hook, and then a hook. And Spence goes fucking flying to the fucking floor. I honestly, at that point, would have thrown in the towel. I don't need my man to get his ass beat anymore. I had my $85 fill, and I could post my receipt because I buy my fights. I saw him get his ass beat. I don't need to see him get his ass beat anymore. Round 7, I would have stopped the fight. I called round 8 TKO. I was so excited because I saw that. I'm like, shit, next round, Spence is going to fucking get stopped. Sadly, Bud let him off the hook in round 8. But not necessarily let him off the hook. I think Bomac was being really smart telling Bud, hey, man, he can be dangerous. You got to go in there carefully. And Bud listened to his trainer. Bomac's a really underrated trainer. People talk shit about him because he's fat. But some of the best trainers in this world are out of shape because they used to do the sport. They know what they're talking about because they were there in their lifetime. Why do you think people like Mark Rippetoe know what they're talking about? He's a 70-year-old obese man, but he can teach you how to squat. Bomac is a 70-year-old, not maybe not 70-year-old, but maybe He is an obese motherfucker, but he used to box. Heavyweight. I don't know if he was a champ, but I do know he was a heavyweight boxer. That said, he knows what he's talking about. Round number 9 comes in. No knockdown. But remember when I told you Bud's a finisher? Remember when I told you in my post-fight, my prediction video, that if Ugas can hurt him, if Porter can hurt him, if Kell Brook can hurt him, Bud can hurt him? And do you know the difference between Bud and all those motherfuckers that I just named? Bud knows how to finish. And y'all doubted me. Y'all said I was a fucking Bud Crawford fanboy. I told you. And so what did he do that round? He finished. So much so that referee Harvey Doc was looking at Earl Spence and he said, "God damn, bro, I can't let this shit go on any longer. Let me save this man's life," because Derrick James couldn't. Derrick James was giving him some of the shittiest information in that corner. Honestly, I'm mad at Derrick James. You should have stopped that fight at 7 rounds. Why did it need to go to fucking 9 rounds for him? Another ass beating. That said, this video goes out to all the people who doubted Bud Crawford. But Mean Machine dropped him. Look what happened. But Porter gave him a hard fight. Look what happened. But he was with Top Rank. Why didn't they fight? Because Top Rank builds their fighters and know what they're doing. Top Rank did the best they could do for Bud Crawford. Why didn't he fight Danny Garcia? Because he declined $2 million. Why did he fight Keith Thurman? Because he wanted $10 million. You know why they wanted those absurd fucking prices? Because they were going to get their ass beat the same exact way. Listen, I know this sounds aggressive, but I'm just pissed at all the Earl Spence fans who try to degrade Bud Crawford as one of the fucking GOATs of this generation. This man deserves his flowers, and you motherfuckers try taking it away from him. That said, Bud Crawford, I've been seeing your ass fight for 10 years. I get emotional. I won't lie. I fucking cried last night seeing that shit. In a good way. Like I said, I get very emotional. You were one of the people who got me into watching this shit. My dad introduced me to you. I remember seeing you fight Gamboa, Beltran, fucking Felix Diaz, Thomas Delorme. I watched all of those with my dad. And then 10 years later, I have the fucking price to tell you motherfuckers. This dude was something good, and we knew when we were watching that guy, he was good. 10 years later, I know that my dad watched that shit somewhere else too, man. And we both know Bud Crawford's a GOAT. Anyways, this was somber, maybe long-winded. Maybe a long-winded video to tell you I told you so. But congratulations, Bud Crawford, double undisputed champion. My number 1 pound-for-pound fighter. My number 2 is Inoue Inoue. And my number 3 is Alexander Usyk. All that to say, don't forget to subscribe and be ready for more boxing content. I'll see you guys on every fucking fight I watch, because I watch way too many, from Pro Box TV, ESPN, Showtime, and even the shitty cards that you can find on Facebook. Peace.